Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another preview and predictions video. The team that we're going to be taking a look at today is our 2024 Auburn Tigers football team. We're going to do a complete preview of their roster, seeing which pieces they lost from last season, but also which pieces they are going to be bringing in for this 2024 season. And we're also going to look over their entire schedule this year, see which games we think they're going to win, lose, and try to see if we can predict what their final record will be. Go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below and I will make sure to respond. So our 2024 Auburn Tigers. Just to kind of have a quick basis of what we're basing things off of, Vegas has the Tigers coming in at 7.5 wins this year. So they have them doing better than they did last season. We all know who their head coach is. They have Hugh Freeze coming back for his second season. Now, he did set a foundation last season. So his goal this year is to build on the foundation that he set, try to improve this team. Well, what's some of the main things that he needs to improve? The main thing he needs to improve is the offense. He's going to have a much larger role on the offensive side this year. That's his forte. He knows how to call plays. He knows how to scheme offenses versus the best defenses. So he will improve the team there. But he's back year two. Peyton Thorne is back at the quarterback position. If you're a Tigers fan, you know that might leave some things to be desired. He didn't have a very good year last year. Really, the Tigers could not throw the ball to save their life. So they really can't get worse passing game-wise. But they definitely should be a lot better. Thorne has had good seasons in the past before with Michigan State. Hugh Freeze is going to try to get everything he can out of him this year. The passing game should be much better this season, and they worked hard to bring in a lot of fresh talent. There's a couple things that Hugh Freeze can do. He can call plays, he can recruit, he can work the portal. He's been doing all three of those right now. They're bringing in a lot of talent, and he's been really working the transfer portal hard. Now, he has Cam Coleman coming in, Thompson, freshman. He has transfers, Robert Lewis coming in from Georgia State. He has Keandre Lambert-Smith transferring over from Penn State. So those guys should be able to help Peyton Thorne take that next step forward and maximize their potential while they're at Auburn. Now, even though the passing game can't get any worse, like we said, they should be better. One of the main things that's going to make them better, their entire running back room is back this season. All three of the guys that they had rotating through back, they're all back. Hunter, Alston, Cobb. The running back room is going to enable Peyton Thorne to take that next step forward. As the passing game gets better, that's also going to continue to open up those lanes for the running backs. Now, Auburn's defense was actually pretty decent last year. They had a pretty good defense. They're bringing in the defensive coordinator, DJ Durkin. Durkin, he's been around the SEC. He's been around college football for a while. He's very experienced. He's actually a really good defensive coordinator. Auburn will have a top 25 defense for this year. He knows how to play in the conference, and the conference is getting tougher, so they need to cement themselves. The defense is loaded at the linebacker, defensive line, edge, secondary. Like I mentioned, they're going to have a top 25 defense. The main thing is, can Hugh Freeze build on that foundation he set last year? Let's take a quick look at their schedule. So the 2024 season kicks off Saturday, August 31st versus Alabama A&M. This is obviously going to be a blowout game, but as we mentioned, the offense has a lot of new players coming in the receiving core. So this gets them some game time reps versus some cupcake games. They're going to blow them out, and I think it's going to be a pretty big blow. Let's say a 54-13, and Auburn is 1-0. Then after that, Saturday, September 7th versus California. Cal is not a pushover team. They were like a 6 or 7 win team last season. They are now in the ACC, but they can actually run the ball pretty decently. They had 220 yards they averaged on the ground per game last season. They do have a top 10 running back in all of college football. They're going to try to keep the ball on the ground. But DJ Durkin and that defense, they're more than prepared for that. This defensive line is going to be able to shut that down. Auburn's going to win this game pretty convincingly. I'm going to say it's going to be a 38-24 game, and they're 2-0. Saturday, September 14th versus New Mexico. This game's also going to be a blowout game. They have a couple cupcakes starting this year before they get into conference play. That's actually the way that you would wish to have your season starting out. They're going to win versus New Mexico. It's going to be a little bit of a lower scoring game. I'm going to say it's going to be a 35-14 game, and they're 3-0. Saturday, September 21st versus Arkansas. So now you're starting to get into SEC play. Arkansas, they're completely going the opposite way. Sam Pittman is probably going to get fired this season. They've been cycling through coordinators. They've been cycling through quarterbacks. They really don't have anywhere near the talent level on the roster. They are gonna lose this one. But this is kind of a rivalry game because these states are pretty close together. Let's say it's going to be a 33-21 game, and Auburn's going to be 4. Saturday, September 28th. Finally, your first true test. You have Oklahoma. Now, Auburn probably has a top 15, top 20 roster right now. Oklahoma has the number 11 roster, according to ESPN. They are bringing in a new quarterback, 5-star. This is his first year as the full-time starter. He did start the bowl game, really lit things up. They're going to have more of an air raid type of offense this year, and we all know that Brent Venables has really been improving the defense. They went from like number 80 to around number 55 last season, so they're gradually getting better, and they're probably going to have a top 40 defense. They've really been hitting the portal and the recruiting trail hard. This is a tough team. This is definitely a team that you don't want to overlook. They are coming to Auburn, so that gives Auburn the edge, but I'm going to go with the Sooners getting the win, first year in the SEC, beating Auburn, just because I think their team's more experienced outside of the quarterback position. They just have the better roster. And their 5-star quarterback, by this point, week 5, he would have had a lot of reps in. I think is going to be comfortable in the scheme, but I think it's going to be a close one. I'm going to say it's going to be a 30-27. It's going to come down to a field goal or a fourth quarter touchdown. Oklahoma's going to win it, and Auburn's 4-1. Then after that, Saturday, October 5th, a really tough game. You have Georgia, and this is at Georgia. So Auburn's going to Athens. They're coming off of a really hard physical loss versus Oklahoma. I don't think they're going to be prepared for that 1-2 punch. So Oklahoma, and then on the road versus Georgia. Georgia's probably going to be the number 1 or 2 team the whole season. Obviously, it's a top 3 talented roster in all of college football. Auburn's just going to be out-talented and out-physical here. They don't have the depth to match Georgia's depth for 4 straight quarters. Georgia's going to win this one, I think, pretty handedly. I'm going to say it's going to be a 38-23 game, and Auburn drops to 4-2. So Saturday, October 19th at Missouri. This is a tough one. Missouri, obviously, they won 11 games last season, finished the bowl game beating the Buckeyes, and they bring back a lot of players. They did lose their defensive coordinator. Cook's coming back. They're loaded with wide receiver talent. They're going to have a new running back room, but they had a top 20 defense last year, a top 20 offense last year. So this was actually a very balanced team, but they started out the year unranked, finished the year top 10. So they came out of nowhere and dominated last season. But people aren't going to be caught off guard by them this year. They're going to be looking out for Missouri. Talented team. You don't want to underestimate them, but this is where Hugh Freeze thrives. He knows how to play higher ranked teams and beat them with less talent. Not saying that Auburn's not talented, but he just knows how to get these upset games. Missouri could be top 10 here, but I have them going down to Auburn, losing this game. It's going to be a 33-26 game, and Auburn's going to get the upset, and they're 5-3. They follow that up Saturday, October 26th at Kentucky. This is always a physical team. They have a new quarterback coming in from Georgia. They always have a physical run game, physical defense. But I have Auburn continuing to stay hot, getting the win here. It's going to be a 28-24, and they're 6-2. And then they are at Vanderbilt. Obviously, they're the far more talented team than Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt really has no home field advantage, so Auburn's going to get the win there. Let's say 40-20, and they're 7-2. And after that, versus UL Monroe, that's obviously going to be a win. It's going to be a 48-17 win, and they're 8-2. Saturday, November 23rd, versus Texas A&M. Obviously, the Aggies, they do have a top 10 talented roster. They have Elko coming in as the head coach. They still have Wingman there as quarterback. Very talented team. They're going to start coming into their own second half of the season once they've gotten used to the scheme. I have them beating Auburn on the road. Well, sorry, you have Auburn on the road. So I have Auburn losing on the road to the Aggies in a 30-24 game, and they're 8-3. They finished the year, obviously, versus their in-state rival Alabama at Alabama this year. They should have beat Alabama last season. That was their way to cap off the good foundational year they had last season. I don't know how that Hail Mary happened, but it did happen. It was an act of God for some reason. Auburn lost it. Should have won it. That was their chance. I have Alabama beating them in Tuscaloosa, because Auburn should have beat them last year. I don't think they're going to be able to beat them this year. Deboer is going to have that team rolling at this point. It's going to be a 35-24 game, and Auburn's going to finish the year 8-4. So I am going with the over. Vegas has them at 7.5. I'm going with 8. I think that's a really good year for Hugh Freeze and this team. As I mentioned many times, it's a foundational year, continuing to build. SEC is getting tougher, but Auburn is getting better every single season. So maybe next year it's a 9 or 10 win season. So that's my breakdown of our 2024 Auburn Tigers. Go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below and I will respond. Thanks.